You know that feeling when you're standing in a dealership parking lot, looking at a truck that just rolled off the lot, and some part of you already knows you're about to make a decision you'll either be grateful for or kicking yourself over in 3 years? I've watched that exact moment play out more times than I can count. A guy signs the paperwork, drives off happy, and 18 months later, he's back in my shop with a check engine light and a face that says he already knows this is going to cost him. Meanwhile, there's another guy, driving something 10 years older, half the screens, none of the leather, and he hasn't had an unplanned repair bill in 3 years. Same money in his pocket, completely different truck underneath him. That's really what we're talking about today. Not horsepower, not touchscreens, money. Whether it stays in your account or slowly drains out through a shop like mine. I've spent 15 years with my hands inside these trucks. Oil pans, transmissions, transfer cases, frames rusted through, frames that look brand new at 300,000 miles. When you've had a few thousand trucks up on a lift, you stop caring what the commercials say and you start noticing what actually happens to metal and rubber and gaskets over a decade of real use. Some trucks age like a good pair of work boots. Others age like a phone that's 2 years old and suddenly can't hold a charge. Today's truck market is loud. Manufacturers are fighting over who has the biggest screen, who has the fanciest massage seats, who can cram the most software into a dashboard. And look, I get why people like that stuff, but none of it tells you whether the transmission is going to make it to 200,000 miles or whether you're going to be financing a new engine at year 6. So today I want to walk you through 3 trucks that keep showing up in my shop for oil changes and brake jobs, and nothing else. Not because they're flashy, because they just refuse to quit. And I'm not going to tell you which 3 right away, because the reasons matter more than the names, and I want you to actually hear those reasons before you jump to conclusions about what's coming. Let me start with something that happened a few years back. A plumber, regular customer of mine, brought his truck in for what he thought was going to be an expensive repair. The odometer said 397,000 miles. He was bracing for bad news. I got underneath it, and I remember just sitting there for a second because the frame looked like it belonged on a truck with 60,000 miles on it. No rust creeping through, no sagging, nothing. Original transmission, the original engine never opened up. That truck was a Toyota Tundra, the first generation body style before Toyota redesigned it, powered by that 4.7-liter V8 that nobody talks about anymore because everybody's chasing horsepower numbers instead of longevity numbers. Here's the thing mechanics notice that regular buyers never think to check. It's not the big stuff that kills a truck early. It's the small stuff compounding over years. Cheap head gaskets that start leaking at 80,000 miles. Transmissions that shift rough by 120,000. Electrical gremlins that show up right after the warranty expires. The Tundra from that era just doesn't do any of that. I've had fleet managers tell me flat out they'd rather run an older Tundra past 300,000 miles than replace it with something newer, because the maintenance cost per mile stays almost flat the entire time they own it. That's not marketing. That's a guy responsible for a dozen work trucks making a financial decision based on years of receipts. Funny enough, that same fleet manager tried talking me into a different half-ton a while back. Newer, nicer, more bells and whistles. I drove it for a week just to see what the fuss was about. Decent truck, but I kept thinking about how thin that Tundra's repair file was compared to what I was expecting to see on the new one, and I never brought it up again. Now, is the Tundra perfect? No. People complain about fuel economy, and they're right to. It drinks more than some of the newer trucks with turbocharged engines. The interior from that generation feels basic, almost like a work truck should, honestly. And there was a frame rust issue on some model years that Toyota actually had to address through a buyback and replacement program, mostly affecting trucks that spent winters in road salt states. If you're shopping for one, that's exactly where you start your inspection. Get underneath it. Look at the frame rails, especially near the rear leaf spring mounts and around the cross members. A little surface rust is normal on an older truck. Flaking, bubbling rust with material actually missing is a walk-away sign. Check the cold start too. Let the engine sit overnight if you can, then start it cold and listen. A quiet, even idle with no tapping tells you the timing components are healthy. And always ask for maintenance records, especially timing belt service on the models that use one instead of a chain. A Tundra with documented maintenance and a clean frame is one of the closest things to a truck you buy once and drive for 2 decades. Let's talk about something completely different for a second, because reliability isn't only about the truck itself. It's also about what's happening inside the engine. Ford's 5.0 Coyote V8, the one they started dropping into the F-150 back in 2011, changed how I think about American V8s. I used to be skeptical, honestly. Ford's older engines from the 90s and early 2000s had their share of problems. Spark plugs that liked to blow out of the heads, cam phasers that wore early. The Coyote fixed almost all of that. Kinda reminds me of the Tundra situation, actually. Toyota needed a redesign to get past the early head gasket issues on that 4.7. Ford needed one to get past the spark plug problem. Different brands, same lesson. Sometimes the truck you want isn't the first version of something. It's the one built after the manufacturer already learned the hard way. I had two F-150s in my shop on the same week a while back. Practically identical trim, same year, same engine. One belonged to a landscaper who babied it, changed the oil like clockwork, kept it garaged. The other belonged to a contractor who used it like a tool, towed heavy trailers daily, never missed a service interval, but never babied it either. Both trucks were past 220,000 miles. Both ran like they had 40,000 on them. That contrast stuck with me, because it told me something important. This engine doesn't need pampering to survive. It just needs basic maintenance, and it'll take whatever abuse a working truck throws at it. Fleet buyers love this engine for a reason. It produces strong power without relying on turbochargers that add complexity and potential failure points down the road. The naturally aspirated design means fewer things that can go wrong under boost, fewer intercoolers to worry about, and less heat-soak stress on components. Contractors who tried the EcoBoost turbocharged versions and dealt with early issues, turbo failures, carbon buildup on the intake valves from direct injection, often came back specifically asking for a Coyote-powered truck the second time around. I've heard that story from more than one customer, almost word for word. Now, the honest criticisms. The 5.0 isn't the most fuel-efficient option Ford offers, and if towing capacity on paper is your only priority, the turbocharged EcoBoost engines technically out-tow it in some configurations. Some early 10th-generation F-150s had issues with the aluminum body panels denting more easily than the older steel trucks, and repair costs for body damage can run higher because of the specialized aluminum work involved. None of that touches the drivetrain, but it's worth knowing before you buy. When you're inspecting one, check the transmission fluid condition, especially on higher mileage trucks with the 6-speed automatic, since fluid that's dark or smells burnt suggests it was never serviced. Listen for a cold start rattle from the timing chain area, which can indicate a tensioner starting to wear. And look at the bed and frame for signs of overloading, sagging suspension, or stretched leaf springs that tell you the previous owner hauled more than the truck was built for on a regular basis. The third one surprises people the most, and it's not because it's rare or expensive. It's because everybody expects the exciting answer, and this truck is about as unfancy as they come. There's a rancher out here, older guy, still runs cattle on a few hundred acres, who's been driving the same Toyota Tacoma since it was practically new. Second generation, the one built from around 2005 through 2015. Original drivetrain, original transmission. He's replaced brakes, tires, a water pump, the usual wear items, but the truck itself has never let him down in the field, which for a rancher isn't a convenience, it's survival. If a truck dies 20 minutes from the nearest paved road, that's not an inconvenience, that's a real problem. What makes the Tacoma from that era so tough isn't one single thing. It's the whole philosophy behind how Toyota built it. Simpler electronics than what you'll find in a modern truck. Fewer sensors that can fail and leave you stranded. A drivetrain that Toyota didn't change much for years because they didn't need to fix something that was already working. I've had customers bring these trucks in past 250,000 miles with nothing more serious than routine maintenance behind them. And when I say routine, I mean oil changes, timing chain, not timing belt on most trims, so no expensive belt replacement interval, brake jobs, the normal stuff. I remember a contractor who traded his Tacoma in for a brand new truck a few years back. About the technology, the ride quality, all of it. About a year later, he was back in my shop, except this time asking if I knew anyone selling a used second-generation Tacoma. His new truck had already been in the shop twice for electrical issues nobody could fully diagnose the first time. He told me straight up he missed knowing exactly what his truck was going to do every single morning. That's the kind of trust these trucks earn, not because they're exciting, because they're predictable in the best possible way. Now the fair criticisms. The Tacoma from this generation isn't quick. Acceleration is modest, especially with the four-cylinder option, and even the V6 isn't going to win any races. Interior technology is basically non-existent by today's standards. No giant screen, no fancy connectivity. Towing capacity is lower than a full-size truck, so if you're regularly pulling a large camper or a heavy equipment trailer, this probably isn't your primary tow rig. And there's a well-known frame rust issue on certain model years and regions that Toyota addressed through an extended warranty and frame replacement program, similar to what happened with some Tundras. If you're buying used, that's priority number 1 on your inspection list. Crawl underneath. Check the frame rails thoroughly, particularly around the rear axle and the areas behind the cab. Surface rust, fine. Perforated, flaking rust where you can see through the metal, that's a serious red flag and potentially a safety issue. Beyond the frame, check the timing chain for any cold start noise. Inspect the transfer case for leaks if it's four-wheel drive, and ask about maintenance history for the differential fluid, which a lot of owners neglect simply because it's easy to forget about. Here's what ties all 3 of these trucks together, and it's not the badge on the grille. It's what happens to your bank account over the years you own them. Think about what a major repair actually costs you beyond just the parts and labor. There are days you can't work if this is a work truck. There's the rental you might need while it's in the shop. There's the resale value hit when a truck develops a reputation for problems. There's the insurance considerations, because some models cost more to insure specifically due to expensive parts or higher theft rates. All of that adds up silently, and most people never calculate it until they're staring at a repair estimate that's more than they expected to spend on the truck all year. That's the real reason these 3 trucks matter. It's not that they're impressive on paper. It's that they cost you almost nothing to keep running once you own them outright. The maintenance is predictable. The parts are affordable and easy to find because these platforms have sold in huge numbers for years. Labor costs stay reasonable because any competent shop, not just a dealership, can work on them without specialized training or proprietary tools. When you add all of that up over 10 or 15 years of ownership, the difference between one of these trucks and something flashier but less proven can easily be tens of thousands of dollars. That's not an exaggeration. That's just what happens when you compare real repair histories side by side, which I've had the strange privilege of doing for 15 years now. I think about retirement a lot when I talk to customers about trucks, because so many of the people bringing vehicles into my shop are exactly the people this affects most. Folks in their 50s and 60s still working, still towing a boat or a camper on weekends, still thinking about what their finances look like 10 years down the road. A truck that keeps draining money through unexpected repairs isn't just an inconvenience for these folks. It's actual retirement savings disappearing a few $100s at a time. And a truck that just works year after year quietly protects that same savings account without anyone even having to think about it. So if you take one thing away from tonight, let it be this. The smartest truck on the lot is rarely the one with the biggest screen or the most horsepower on the window sticker. It's the one that's still running strong long after the loan is paid off, still doing its job without draining your bank account every time something inside it wears out. A truck like that isn't just transportation. It's one of the few big purchases in your life that can actually protect your money instead of quietly taking it from you. I've seen it from both sides of the lift. The trucks that keep families financially stable for 2 decades and the trucks that turn into a slow leak nobody notices until it's too late. If you're out there shopping right now, take your time, crawl underneath it. Ask the questions I mentioned tonight. Trust your own eyes more than you trust a shiny interior. So tell me, what's the highest mileage you've ever gotten out of a truck? And what were you driving? I'd genuinely like to know what's working out there for you.